Hey, are we live?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah!
Everything's all going.
Woo, nice. Way cool. Hey, everybody.
I think that might be a little loud though.
All right. I should mute this so I don't hear myself talk. What do you mean, where's
Oh,
this?
wow,
Right
look
here.
at that desktop image.
Yeah, I know. There we go. I turned that down, guys. Tell us if the volume on that's a little bit too loud.
Yeah, how we sounding, everybody? Things good?
I'm probably loud because that is me.
Okay.
It's too short. Wow.
Okay.
Oh.
You know, I was talking with SoFetch, and he said that he had this this new game that he was coming out, and he really needed his beard at max strength, and so I lent him some. But I think he'll get me back like before the next stream, so don't worry about it. I know Upbeat Song is great. It's right up there with like inspirational soundtrack. It's one of my favorite hits.
That's just the name, Upbeat Song. I like it.
Yeah, it's off the self-titled album of the band by the same name.
Jeez.
It kind of looks like you're in another dimension. You're warping into this dimension, Fancy. You're kind of a wiggly.
Yeah, I like it.
Oh, volume. All right, so let's start this show on the road.
Welcome everybody. Thanks for hanging out while we mess around. Like, gotta admit, we just kind of enjoy each other's company. I don't think we'd make it through if we didn't genuinely like each other.
I mean, no, you guys are great.
Yeah, Jordan has it right. He is. Fancy is sitting in Othala.
I am.
You should show them your shirt.
Oh. Yep. Just gonna do that.
Ruin everything. Yeah.
That's a thing. Yeah, so, welcome everybody to our July stream. It is July, and we are streaming. So, we generally schedule these for the last Wednesday of the month, just because that's when it works out for everybody's schedules, and it's nice to have a tempo. And it just so happened that today's stream landed on something of a somber occasion. So, for those of you that remember, exactly 1 year ago today, Gigantic shut down, and it was a very melancholy moment for a lot of us. And I just wanted to start things off by really saying thank you to Motiga and their incredible dev team for making such a wonderful, wonderful game and piece of inspirational artwork that brought us all together. I would not have met this team were it not for Gigantic. I would not have been inspired to work with these people on this fantastic project for the last year and some months now that we've been doing this, were it not for Gigantic bringing us all together and showing us just how great a game could be. So yeah, it's really been a year. It kind of goes by, doesn't it? But I think it's really incredible that there are so many people that still hold the game so fondly in their hearts. And so we put a little thing together. We talked to Atmos Fabula, who some of you know for his really fantastic videos on Gigantic in its time, and I thought we would open things up with a thank you to Motiga. You got that queued up, Tren?
Yeah, I got that queued up right now. I'm gonna kill your face for this. So.
No,
Don't
get
kill
rid of
him.
me. I don't need
We
to be in.
need
Boom.
him.
Oh,
I'll be back.
the beard is gone, guys.
Hi, I'm Atmos. Those of you familiar with my work know just how much Gigantic meant to me, both as a game and as a community. 1 year ago today, Gigantic servers were shut down, and while the world Motiga made is gone, it will never be forgotten, and neither will the impact their work had on our lives. To celebrate the team who made this incredible game, I have asked the Project Stamina team, a group working on a game inspired by Gigantic, about their time with it and what it meant to them.
My time with Gigantic was the most inspiring and fulfilling I have ever spent with a game. It was beautiful in every possible way. The love and passion Motiga put into their work was reflected by their community in a way I had never seen before, and everyone I met through Gigantic was a friend. It was the best game I have ever played, and the people who shared that world with me were as much a part of that as the game itself.
My time with Gigantic was brief, but it was unforgettable. It wasn't just a world I could temporarily escape into. It became my world. The friends I made, the experiences I gained, the self-character I built, I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Gigantic immediately drew me in with its beautiful art style and unique characters, but I was hooked the moment I experienced the fast-paced combat and fluid mobility. I was never really one to play competitive PvP games, so Gigantic bridged that gap for me.
Gigantic was an unforgettable experience and was my obsession for a long time. I'll never forget the amazing dev team and how much they cared for their community. I made lasting friendships along with some opportunities to teach others about the game, and I'll always remember that fondly.
My time with Gigantic was an illustrated story full of characters, creatures, and environments that I got lost in. With its artistic direction and energy, it brought in a lively and mostly friendly community. It was a new home after the fall of a previous beloved game. I'll never forget the people I met, the friendships I made, and the hilarious times that I had.
The airship took flight for the final time exactly a year ago. I thought I would be sad talking about Gigantic again, but I only seem to recall the good. Keep Gigantic in your hearts, because that's where it will be remembered best. Farewell, Gigantic fans. See you on the airship. Hi.
Oh my god. I think I'm crying right now.
A little bit.
Oh my god. I have been looking back at my own Gigantic videos, like old videos. Sometimes I will literally just sit here and watch and be like, holy shit, that game was amazing. I miss it.
You're not alone in that. I didn't upload every single video that I ever recorded when I was playing that game because it never really occurred to me that it might go away until it did. And so I mean, we did that as our way of saying thank you to Motiga because they have inspired us in a way that we have never been inspired before. Like as a group of people, I don't really. I don't have words for it. If I had words for it, I probably would have just written them and sent them to Motiga and been done with it. But I don't. And like the best way that I can show how much that game meant to me was to make something, like make art about how much I love it, and making games is my art, and I think that a game is a great way to express what that game meant. And so that's yeah, seriously, Founders Pack is still some of the best money I've ever spent.
I bought like 10, so don't even.
Yeah, I want to I picked up a bit of a strange rumor recently that some people have been like talking about Project Stamina in such a way that makes, like, in channels of other of Motiga developers, about how Project Stamina is going to be a better game. And I don't, or like a spiritual successor, which I don't know exactly what people have said because I wasn't there for it, but I just want to go on the record and say that we don't think that we're better than Motiga. We don't think that their game was bad and needed to be improved. We think that their game never got a good shot at making it to sustainable success, and we think that that's a tragedy. And our efforts are not because we think that they messed up and we can do a better job. Our efforts are because we think that the work that they did was incredibly powerful and valuable, and we want to follow in their footsteps. And if we ever reach, like, goodness willing, if we ever reach a point where we grow past what Gigantic did, it's not because we have like unlocked the secrets that they missed. It's because we were lucky enough to have their footsteps to follow it, to reach a point. And so like if we reach a higher pinnacle, it's because we're a tree standing, like growing on the top of their mountain, as it were. It's not a perfect metaphor, but I hope y'all get it. And I hope that if you ever are ever in the company of anyone from Motiga, that you have the utmost respect and reverence for their work, because they poured their hearts and souls into that game, and they have inspired us to do the same. And we are in an incredibly lucky position to be working with Unreal 4 instead of Unreal 3, which I will never stop stressing how much of a difference that makes. And to be in a position where so many of us are able to work for free to get a game off the ground, and to have the technology in place to try and scale with a community rather than to try and reach a community of critical mass before our time runs out. And that's not something that Gigantic should have done that they didn't do, that we are doing differently. That's something that we are lucky to be able to do because of the size and shape of our game dev team. And because we have such a clear roadmap for so much of our design that we don't have to, there's a lot of stuff that we don't have to figure out by guessing because Gigantic already showed us the way to do it. Um, yeah, yeah, like I have nothing but the utmost respect for everyone at Motiga, and I have nothing but appreciation for Perfect World for stepping in and picking up the game when its employees were literally working for free when they knew that they needed to feed their families, and saying, "We're going to give you guys a shot because what you've done is beautiful." And if anyone's going around saying that like we're going to do it better and that Motiga messed up, like cut it out. They did a great job. They did an amazing job, and the only thing that we're trying to do is carry the torch that they showed us was possible with the game. So, yeah, I don't know. Every time I think about Gigantic, it hits me in the feels. It's been a year, and I mostly try to talk about our own work because that's what we do, and I feel I can't really do justice to Motiga or Gigantic talking about it because I wasn't there. I don't know what struggles and what their team went through. So I'm gonna move on, I guess.
One more thing I'd like to add is
Yes, please.
Atmos, like, thanks a lot for, taking the time and doing this. You did a really good job, and it's really nice to have this to, paying homage to the game that really brought us together. So
Absolutely.
Thanks, Gigantic, you rock.
Oh, on that note, Atmos is going to be posting that video to his channel right after the stream. So if you ever want to watch it again, or if you're ever so lucky as to meet a Motigan, and they're like, worrying that nobody cares about their work anymore or something, feel free to share that with them. Just watch it again because it hits you in the feels. He put a lot of work into it, and we really appreciate it. So Atmos, if you want to drop a link in the chat to your YouTube, that's cool. You guys should go check his work out. He's good. Yeah. So thank you, Motiga. Thank you, Atmos, for that video. And thank you, everyone, for being a part of this community that inspired all of us to come together and do this work, make this game, because it's as much for you as it is for us. Like, yeah, we want to play it, but we want to play it with you, So we could spend all day paying our respects to Gigantic, but that wouldn't tell you any more about what we've been up to, which is the rest of, at least, the point of this stream. So to kick things off, I want to go back to loading responses. This is the worst time for that. Go back to some of the questions that we missed from the last stream, and just go over some of the stuff that you guys wanted to find out. And then after a little bit of Q&A, we're going to dig into some new content for y'all. So one of the questions from the last stream was, any work done on Notch? Yes, we've done a lot of work on Notch, and we're going to be really excited to show that to you later. Another one was, have you been implementing any community suggested ideas? Yes, we'll be showing some of those later in the stream. Another question was, and we got some grumbles about not having this one answered, so I thought it was important to get back to it. What are you doing to ensure that players are able to feel like they can solo carry? I feel it's an important element to any game like this, especially if there are plans for rank. A number of elements shown so far seem to almost force people to rely on teammates, which in other games often leads to frustration in solo queue environments. So that one's kind of a loaded question because there are a lot of concepts to touch on, all tied into that. One is the idea that somebody can single-handedly take a bad team and make them win through like the sheer power of their own skill. And I think that to some extent, the team with the best player on it should have an edge, but making characters that are specifically designed for somebody to be able to ignore their team and still win the game is risky design space. Because if you have somebody that without the assistance of teammates can win, then how do you balance that character for an environment in which your team is good and helpful and have that still be fair? We are definitely exploring different types of characters. We are not outside, like, we don't think that a character that under the right circumstances can scale infinitely are inherently broken. It's got to be hard to scale so hard that you can carry the game when your entire team is bad. But we want to make sure that a lot of different play styles are viable. If you're so dedicated to the idea that you can run away from your team who are all idiots and single-handedly win the game, then like double check that maybe you're that guy. But that's me talking to my pubs. So yeah, like at the end of the day, this is a team game. And I think that teamwork is like being able to communicate and coordinate and direct a team. If you're somebody who knows how to call good shots, then figure out how to get your team to agree when you make a call. And that like those are all important skills. And like yes, technical capacity is important, and yes, we do want like high skill ceiling characters that really reward somebody who puts the time into playing them. We just don't want to make a character that's so good that you can single-handedly take over a game and expect that to be a fun experience for the other 9 people. So I got called out for not answering that question, and I don't want to feel like I'm dodging it, but there it is. Which came first, the fancy or the pants? It was simultaneous. And Trend, Failco, if you guys have any responses to these, like by all means, jump in. Let's see. How much will the stamina system work compared to the one Gigantic had? Very, very similar. We have no plans for making major changes to the stamina system, to my knowledge. Have you guys made any plans to change the stamina system without telling me?
No.
Okay, great. Okay, so that was some stuff that we didn't cover in the last stream. We have a few questions for this stream that I think we can loop back to in a little bit. Y'all know the tragedy of having too many tabs open, right? Responses.
So what would you like me to open then? Because we got lots of goodies.
Yeah, we've got a bunch of stuff, and we're gonna try and keep this one in a reasonable time frame, so somebody who missed it doesn't look at it and go, "Oh, I don't have time for this." But it's still early, so we can give you guys some. You can give you guys some sway. Do you want some more Q&A, or do you want to get into the new content?
Actually, Disdained Cryptic. That's a pretty good question.
Oh, where is it?
Will the gameplay be closer to Gigantic or a regular MOBA, or a mixture of both?
Very, very close to Gigantic. Our plan is not to like take some Gigantic elements and then squish them into an entirely different game style. Like, we felt that Gigantic was really fantastic, and our goal is not to change that dramatically, but to just add a few elements that we feel are also fun, that were not in there, and still like. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
TDM mode is completely different than what Gigantic was per se.
That's fair.
And the main game mode is, but it isn't. It's hard to explain right now. Our team knows about it. They're not allowed to speak about it. I'm looking at you guys. But it should offer a really good similar feel with some nice new concepts that aren't like game-changing the genre, but should give the game just a much more fluent feel.
Yeah. So
especially
we
with
want
our new systems that we have.
Yeah, we want the like when you sit down and you first move your character around, we want it to feel pretty much the same. You know, I want Project Stamina to feel like coming home, as it were. Because that's what I want to do. Like, we're making this game because nothing else is filling the void for that Gigantic left in our hearts. Not because we think that Gigantic was all right. You know, it was fantastic, and we want to play more like that. So this, like, stamina, movement, those are going to feel really similar. And then the stuff that's different, we want to feel naturally different. A big one is the armor system, which we can cover. I think we talked about it in public chat recently. We're using a scalar armor system rather than a linear one because it's demonstrated so much solid results in other MOBAs, and it's just a good system. And Gigantic used a linear armor system, and a lot of people at the high level competitive play found ways to just completely break it, and it wasn't a game balance problem, it was like a mathematical one. So that's the kind of thing that we're looking to tune, not major systems, like really minor tweaks. Here's some cool content coming for you. We are opening up a set of public resources that we're going to be updating over time. One of the first pieces that will go in there is a list of the core mechanics of the game, so people can just look at that and go,
Would you
this
like
is
me
what
to
to
open it?
expect.
Yay!
I can actually open that right now.
Yeah, okay. Okay, that sounds like a cool way to get into things.
Oh. That did not open how I wanted it to.
So this is a character sheet. Check it out. It's Kira.
There we go. Yes. Or not. Sorry.
Kira of the Axiom. Yes, we can talk about that in a minute. Nope. Kira's always been Axiom. So I don't know if you guys can see that well, but I certainly can't because I'm looking at a tiny
She's
window.
so great.
Yeah. This one's
Anyway.
not the greatest.
This is a sheet that's going to be available on a public Trello. We're going to add a link to our stream after the stream. I haven't actually made a button for it yet, so once that's done, there will be a post in the FAQs and on the Discord and here on the Twitch panels and all that jazz. So it's going to be easy for people to find. This is what it looks like. Trin, have you used a computer before?
Yeah, but
What buttons
yeah,
do?
it's the quality somehow died. I might have downloaded the wrong one.
Looks right to me. I can tell because the name of the image is caps lock.
Yep. So this is like, if we can stop zooming in and out for a minute, this is just a quick overview. It's got the character art, it's got the mini-map portrait, it's got their base stats and their stats per level, and like a really quick blurb about what the character's playstyle is, and then their abilities. This is going to, we're going to release a bunch of these for all of our characters as they get done. Alongside this, there's going to be a lore piece, which has a several paragraph story about the character and how they got involved in being a character in the game, as opposed to, a random peasant. And yeah, so that, and we've got a document that it's just a PDF, but it's got a list of all of the. So yeah, here's the character lore. This is Kira's story. This is going to be available after the stream, so I'm not going to read it to you. Sorry.
Old icon. No.
Oh, that's the old icon. Oh well. The new one has the new icon.
We'll fix it.
Yeah, but we're going to be making these for every character.
Yeah, so we're going to make those for every character. They're going to be publicly available. Sorry to cut you off, Failco.
No, it's good.
Yeah, and there's a core mechanics page in there as well that's on the Trello, which we'll drop a link after the stream. So that's a new thing that you guys can look at. It's been something you've been requesting for a while, and we're giving it to you. So,
what do you want to go on to next?
I would like to talk about
lore.
World art,
yeah,
concept art, notch, Geist.
That's what we're talking
super secret
about.
stuff. More super secret stuff.
Yeah, you know what? Pull up the environment art, and I am going to talk about the world of Othala.
World art.
Oh.
No,
hold on.
Trin. Oh my god.
No.
I'm professional.
I can't handle this.
Okay.
It's too much.
So for the last month, or several months actually, our art wizard Keji has been drawing environments for us to put on our world map, which is still under development. But Turtle Duck, that's a long question. But if you want to copy it and paste it in when we do our next round of Q&A, I will get to it. We've been doing we've been building out a world, and we're really excited to be sharing parts of it with you. Our we have cleared a milestone in our trademark filing, which is awesome. We can start unlocking some of the seals on our IP and our story. We're not going to tell you the game name yet, because frankly, we're only going to get to reveal it once, and we want to do that with some more awesome content that makes it really special, because we can and we should. And so that's what we're going to do. In the meantime, here's what we can tell you.
You want me to delete your face while you do the thing so they can see all the art?
Yes.
Okay.
Delete my face.
It's gone.
Can I just give a quick shout out? Can I? Okay.
Yes,
I gotta
of course
just say that the art team is amazing, and they, like, Kezi has done all this world art you're about to see, and you know, a lot of the concept art you're gonna see today, and he's doing such an amazing job. We're lucky to have every artist on this team, and I'm just like so happy. If I could cry, I would cry right now, because I am so happy that this team is amazing and they're working on this, and like, you guys, you're fucking awesome. Keep up the awesome work. Okay, you can go now, Pansy, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Seriously, our team is fantastic. So, the game world was built with a couple of core concepts in mind. One, we wanted to make sure that the gameplay that players were experiencing was the most the most pivotal and influential conflicts in the entire world, because I think that it's important for games to have a story, and if the game isn't focusing on the most interesting thing happening in the story, then why is it focusing on what it's focusing on instead? So one of the core design pieces was to make sure that the game that players were playing and the characters were participating in was also like the most important thing that was actually happening. And so that was it was an interesting writing challenge, taking 5 versus 5 arena combat in like repeatable arenas and making that be a central, like, the cornerstone of the narrative. So what we built was a world built by a civilization of ancient and powerful beings who had mastered a magic that we call the Omen, which is represented through the use of the Norse and Celtic runes, which functions as the language of creation. So the way that those work is that they represent concepts so powerful that anybody... Actually, can you pull up that one in the purple one with all the, or maybe it's the volcano one with all the runes in it? Yeah, I think it's that. I think
There
it's
you go.
that one or the one to the left. Yeah. Okay. So, the way that it works is there's a magical energy which binds the fabric of reality together in Othala. And people who have studied the Omen and understand the concepts which they represent are able to impart their will onto the fabric of reality and change its shape. And this is the power that made the world. So, like, in Othala, you have monuments that defy gravity. You have floating cities. You have miles and miles and miles of perfectly terraced farmland that is just absolutely beyond the realm of natural development. So the people who developed in that world, so it was built by this ancient civilization with this power, and one day they mysteriously vanished, and the entire world was kind of a paradise lost to time. And despite the ravages of time that it experienced, much of their monuments still stood because of the power of their magic. And so when a new civilization developed in it, they developed in a world that came pre-made with cities and monuments and transit systems and perfect farmland. And so they immediately became aware of the nature of their world being constructed by beings with godlike power. So as they developed as a society, they reached a roughly medieval level of technological and social development when somebody, and this is a person that is like a bit of a folk legend in their world, unlocked the power of the omen and discovered the nature of the power of the magic that made their world. So all of a sudden, you have a medieval society that has begun to scratch at the surface of godlike power. As they started to explore this power, they found that they could activate ancient artifacts. They could change the nature of their world, not to the same extent as the ancient ones, because they are
young.
They are young and barely discovering the depth of meaning in the omen. But they are discovering how magic works in the world at the same time. And the crux of that is that there are these arenas built by the ancient ones that serve as ritual grounds where magic is drawn from the core of the earth or wherever magic comes from. They don't really know. They just know that it's collected in these ritual grounds that are designed for combat. And it is a 5 versus 5 team combat that is this ancient battle ritual designed by the people who built their world, in which the victors are able to direct the flow of magic out into the world, and they choose where the magic energy collects and is condensed, which allows the omen to be used in those spaces in the rest of the world. So that is the combat that our characters battle in. It is to win in these battles is to harness the flow of magical power in the world. So that's the setup.
My bad.
It is not literally just oil, but it does have some some amount of that fighting over resources that makes games so dramatic. And I guess the last piece of world lore that we can get into a little bit more is how the different factions look at things. We talked about them a little bit in some previous streams. So the first faction to form was the Axion, who look at who see magic as a the omen, and the magical energy is, we call them the ley lines because they connect in a vast network of magical energy that intersects, and where they intersect they're more powerful. So they see magic as a resource to be used and understood so they can attain the same greatness as the ancient ones. Axiom whichever one is not a real word. The next one to form was the Melanarch, who believe that the Ancient Ones, in their hubris, overused the power of magic and brought an ill fate upon themselves. So they are much more judicious in its use and see themselves as kind of law keepers and the people responsible for deciding how and when magic gets used. And then the third faction is the Olm, which believe that magic is as natural a part of the world as anything else, and that studying magic is to study the greater nature of the world, and they seek to become more in tune with all of it at once. They believe that the Ancient Ones didn't disappear. They attained a level of understanding so great that they no longer needed physical forms and became a and like incorporated their consciousnesses into the world itself and seek to do the same. So that's like the different perspectives on how magic gets used and what happened to the people who built the world, and that's where their conflicts come from. Dude, like, not gonna lie, a campaign set in this game does sound pretty fun. Yeah, we know that the lore for Gigantic was something that people really, really, really loved exploring, and we wanted to build a world that was also like deep and interesting and rich and full of characters and life, and we did it, or at least, you know, we're happy with what we've done so far, and that's what we can tell you. So was that all the environment art? I wasn't really.
Yeah,
paying
that
attention.
was all the
Just kind of-
environment art. I mean,
That's a
there's
little-
some others that I think you sent to the Patreons that I didn't get, which.
This is the newest stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, there's more. We've shared some of it. We'll share more of it down the road. There it is. That's the game world. That's what we can tell you so far.
Do you want to talk about dev and how that's going?
Yeah. Okay. So this stream, we will not be showing any gameplay because it will look exactly like the gameplay from the last stream. Since that happened, oh yeah, put my face back.
Boom.
There we go.
Cool.
Okay, so since the last stream, we have hit a pretty awesome milestone in development. Our
Core systems.
yeah, our core systems are online. So for those of you that haven't done a lot of programming, like, development is very much an iterative process. Your resources are also the tools with which you make your systems, and then those systems become tools with which you can make other systems. So our first step was, of course, to build a functioning netplay environment. Then when we had something that functioned online, we built a prototype of the game so that we could test it. And using the game prototype, we got our net play and our matchmaking to a point where we were happy with it. And then we were left with a game that was really spaghetti together because we made it in the fastest possible way so that we could use it as a tool to test our network. Now that our network is in a really good place and we have a functioning prototype of the game that we like, our next step is to... Oh my God, Zay, you're so pumped about lore and you missed the... Oh, that's sad. Our next step in development is to build development tools that let us rapidly iterate and create new characters. Because the way that we did it was the fastest way to get a game online, but it was not the fastest way to get 10 characters into a game. It was the fastest way to get something that worked well enough to test the network. And now that we have a good network, we're building development tools to let us make characters in a matter of days instead of the months that it took us to make the first one. So that means that when our system is done, we can patch characters in a sitting, we can make new characters in a couple of days, and we can really accelerate gameplay and gameplay development now that we've got all of our fundamental systems online.
And he
The
doesn't
thing
mean
about that,
fully designed characters, because that involves animation, art, and all that good
yeah,
stuff. We
not
need
like art and
prototyping them.
animation, but we can put them in with our placeholder models and have the abilities work and go, do we like this ability? Does it seem too good? Does it seem too weak? What do we do with it? And have it be easy to iterate on that so that we can get kits into a place that is good and fun and functional quickly. And to do that, it takes a bunch of building of little tiny Lego blocks so we can start snapping them all together. But we have to build all the blocks first. And so that's what our dev team is doing. And it's
Going quite well.
it's going great. It's not very fun or interesting to look at. So
Code's fun.
yeah,
Shows all that code. Ooh.
If you want to look at a bunch of lines of code, go for it. I don't want to read it or talk about it, so I'm not gonna. But that's what we're doing in dev. So the next stream is going to have an update on what all that looks like. For now, we're going to talk about art and lore. People have been asking us a lot about it anyway, so here it is. And if you are new, because we've been getting some new people interested, then our last stream has some gameplay in it, and you can go check that out because it is pretty representative of what we look like right now. Does that make sense to everybody? Do you have any questions about how all that works?
There's just so many systems in a game like that.
Yeah, there's a whole lot.
It's better to make those systems good before everything else.
How pre-alpha is the game right now? I would say that we are pre-alpha. We have finished our prototype and we're working on the last few systems that we need before we can get an alpha off the ground.
And from the last time I heard and talked to the programmers, it's actually looking pretty good.
Yeah. The most optimistic, everything works the first time perfectly, how does it ever, nothing ever actually works this well, target was July. And we wisely didn't try and hold them to that target because that's how you put your developers through crunch and burn them out. But things are going really well. So we're optimistic that we'll have something pretty awesome to show you by the next stream.
Oh, there'll definitely be stuff to show. I mean, there's a lot.
Yeah.
There's
a lot going on.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
But I would be very surprised if we didn't have gameplay next one. So thank you for your patience on this. I know that y'all wanted to see the game. It would look exactly the same right now, so we're not going to waste your time with it, is really how we feel, because we want to talk about new stuff, and gameplay is not new. This stream.
Sound design, it looks like they have a question about.
Okay. You're curious about sound design. What about sound design are you curious? Because that's a lot. It's an entire area of development. That's like saying I'm curious about art. Will there be public beta testing? Yes, eventually.
There are 5 heroes released right now.
You know what? I'm about to announce a 6th. Can I do that? Can I do that, guys?
What?
No.
Okay. All right. You know what? By the end of the stream, I'm going to announce a 6th hero. Is that an Ice Dragon Samurai emote? Because it's not an Ice Dragon Samurai. The next hero is not an Ice Dragon Samurai. Where are you getting your music from, and can we hear some of it? Nope. Sorry. We're going to be so pumped when it's time to play it for you, though.
Yes. Yes, we are.
No, Notch is already announced, so it is okay. Yes, I told Turtle that I was going to answer that question. How do you expect to handle the inevitable situation where a team gets a slight level advantage because of an early team fight, and proceeds to wipe? So, like, basically, that question is about snowballing and rubber banding mechanics. Like, snowballing is an unfortunate it's unfortunate for snowballing to occur for the losing team because sometimes it feels like you lose one fight and you never get back into it. The answer to that is rubber banding, which is comebacks that advantage good play from a
Rubber
team that
banding's such
is.
a horrible word to use in game, though.
It's
It's
what it
like
is.
lagging.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay, I
See,
see.
yeah.
Okay, so it's a comeback mechanic that lets a team that is behind, whether it's through net worth or experience. If you're in a game that has gold, we don't have gold. Um, uh, if a team that is behind kills a character from the team that is ahead, they get more out of it than if a team that is ahead kills a character from the team that is behind. Is the general premise. We do have plans for comeback mechanics. One of the things that I think is really cool about the systems that we've added is that having stats per level and allows us to build characters for specific power points or power peaks. So you can have a character that is designed to come back well because as they level up, they're designed to be weaker in the early game and then stronger in the late game. So if you can get to a point where if you're level 8 and they're level 9, but your character has better stats per level than their character, then you're going to overtake them. We're well aware of how how unfortunate a game that is categorically snowbally can be. So we're building systems in like every area of development to help prevent the game from being excessively snowbally because we want it to feel like you can always come back if you just make a couple of tight plays and play well.
Well, there's also another thing you need to think about when it comes to comeback mechanics and whatnot. Um, so let's say we have all these comeback mechanics and whatnot. We have to be really careful with it because we don't want to extend a game to like 30 plus minutes if we want an average game mode to be like around 15 minutes.
Yeah. I mean that I figure any game where each team is like equally good and it's like a super pitched battle that is really close and neither one can get the edge, those are the games that should last a long time. But games where like one team is in the lead and just kind of grinding out a win, those should end super quickly because they're no fun to lose and they're not really fun to win if they take forever either.
Yeah, if the other team is way better than me, I prefer losing quickly. You
Yep.
know, you
Yeah,
learn
I
what
don't
you
want to
can
extend
from
that
that
myself.
game, and then you get in a new game and you learn, right? And you apply what you learned to that game. And that's how you get better.
TDM right now is around 7 to 8 minutes, and I can't give you too much information on the big one, but I would say around 15 to 20. But that may change. No promises.
Yeah. I will say one of the things that I really liked about Gigantic was that the games always seemed to land in the like 20 to 30 minute range, which is almost exactly how long it takes for my wife to cook me dinner while I make video games. She's the best. If you're watching, I love you. And that was really great. So I liked that game length. I think it's a good one to kind of tuck it in right in or underneath that half an hour mark. But we'll see what's fun when we start messing with that.
So shall we jump on to next thing?
Yeah.
So,
Let's
look at
the big
Kira.
boy?
okay. Let's start. You know what? Let's start with Notch.
Okay,
Boom.
Yep.
let's do it.
Notch is a character from the Ulm. He is an assassin. He's our first assassin in the game. And his design is so the Ulm like are very much believers in like the power of nature. And okay. And they use magic to augment themselves and to increase the power of like very simple natural technologies. Notch is he got the name from his weapon, which is an atlatl or a spear thrower,
You
which
want me
is
to
a
switch it?
stick. Yeah, it's like a stick with a little notch in it that you can slot a spear into and give yourself extra leverage on. It's spelled with T's, ATL, and throw a spear basically with like if you had a third arm, like a third joint in your arm. It gives you a lot of extra power in throwing that weapon. And
Can we just say Ataladdle a lot? How many times can you say it fast?
Probably an even number.
Sorry.
Yep. So,
Next
the
one?
way that he has used magic, I'm just going to talk about this real quick. The way that he has used magic to power himself is he focuses on increasing the power of those throws with omen magic, and then he has augmented himself basically through like intense magical meditation to grow spines, and his spears are spines that he pulls out of his own back and then either stabs people with or notches them into the atlatl and throws them. So that's the concept. His kit, just to give you a quick overview, I haven't actually looked at it in a while. He like stabs you with the spear. He's got a melee attack, and then his RMB is to notch that spear into his throwing arm, which turns his LMB into a projectile, and then he goes back. He like pulls a new spear out of his back and he goes back to stabbing, and that's on a really low cooldown. So you can like throw spears for a while and then use his Q. I think it's Q anyway. I haven't looked in that sheet in a minute. Which is like a pounce and several stab, and it like slows or roots whoever it hits. And then because it's my character and I liked it.
Can we
Also,
talk
Jacob
about
Grimoire is the one that drew this.
Yeah, Jacob did really good.
He's
Can we
been
talk
doing
about
really
the
You
good
want me to
stuff.
switch to facials?
Yeah, so let's move on to the next one. And then his
Oh no, it's this now.
His next ability, he's got like a vial of poison that he makes his attacks better with, and it's got like a dot and a slow. Yeah, so this is the like character design exploration process, but with a ranged attack. So
can we talk about the design, the art design?
yeah, please. You know what? Philco is the art director. Take it away. I built the mechanics and I had an idea, and then she and Jacob just like went hog wild making it look cool.
Oh, I mean, this character had a lot of.
Your face so they can see the whole thing.
You know, Kezi helped too. It was a big collaboration, but at first we were kind of like, okay, porcupine, right? Spine. And then there was also like talk of like those spiked lizards. And we were starting to think that the Ohm aren't just like tree hugging elves. They're kind of like this, they are a lot more sinister than you would think. And this character in particular, we kind of wanted that Ramsey feel to him. He's like this kind of tough guy you don't want to fuck with. And he is a little bit more animal than human now. And
is it fuzzy?
What?
Some people are saying this is fuzzy.
Looks fine to me.
Really weird. It looks fine on my screen. I don't know what to tell you.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt.
Really?
To make sure that they could see it.
Maybe it's on your end, Jacob. But Jacob did this, and he did a great job, like exploring the different kind of shapes. And I just kind of fell in love with Two's kind of like tail, like hair tail. I just love that idea that he's like between like a dude and like an animal. Do you want to show the final kind of like full standing?
We got this next, which might.
Okay, let's keep looking at it.
Yeah, it's fuzzy up first.
No, that's the okay.
What?
Yeah.
That?
Yeah, it's like Trin doesn't understand the order things need to be shown in. It's okay, Trin. One day you'll learn.
That is what the order was gave to me in.
Yeah, we should number them when we send them to you.
I did last time, but I kind of ran out of time this time. Okay. So Jacob made this from that like final look, and it's got this porcupine look. He's got this kind of tail. He looks kind of really scary, but the face wasn't really defined here. And this was definitely the hardest part of it, I think. Like, what do we do to appease Fancy, make it like his character, what he wants? How do I make this guy tough? How do I make him still kind of look like an animal, a human? Like, what age is he? And now you can show them. Now you can show the other thing.
What's the color scheme on Spiky Boy?
We don't have one yet.
We're not sure yet. This is as far as we got.
This is like where we are at with Notch right now. The process is silhouette exploration, and then we find the silhouettes that we like, and figure out what elements from there are really expressing the concepts that we think fit the character's like gameplay and personality. And then we use those to sort of condense them into a new a new design. And one of the really important things about this process is, and let's touch back on what something said earlier about how the designs themselves seemed fuzzy. That's because the idea early in the character design process is to churn out a lot of different ideas so we can see which ones fit the concept and which ones fit well together, and then use those to get more and more refined down the road. So once we have the face, number 5, it was 5, right? Was the face design that we like landed on as the one that we liked. And then we took that face and did a bunch of expression studies to sort of get more of a feel for the character's personality. And now that we have a good feeling for what, because like we got here and it's cool looking, but it doesn't really feel like a person yet. And now that he has a face and he has some expressions, like he's got more of a personality, we're going to go back and put more refinement into his clothes and his like accessories. Probably going to spend a little time focusing on what exactly his weapon looks like, because we haven't dedicated any focused study on that. And that's like how it's in a lot of ways very similar to the programming development side. It's very much about iteration, putting not too much investment into a lot of different things to see what works. And then once you know what's working well, you take that and use it as the foundation for more focused effort. So that's where we're at with Notch right now. The next step is outfits and color studies, which we can show you before we do the final render. And when the final render's done, it gets handed off to 3D. Well, we do like texture studies and like a turnaround to show what the character looks like from different angles so that the 3D artist can model it effectively. So to show you what that looks like, let's talk about how we got to Kira's final render. It's me snapping and doing finger guns.
Kira! There's some stuff you haven't seen so far from her.
Yeah, okay, so switching to that now. So, Kira, where are you?
I should have numbered these. I'm so sorry. I was rushing. Uh-oh. Wait.
Huh? Oh, my bad. Okay, so where would you like me to start on this? It's not organized.
Let's just take a look at the final render to see the color picture. The second from the right, the color picture. Not, yes, that one. So this is what you guys saw in the last stream. This is Kira in all her like feisty, furious glory. We love her. She's great.
She's great.
Shout outs to Tart for kicking ass on this artwork.
Yeah, great job.
So this is what she looks like. Now let's talk about how we got there.
Well, we showed a lot of the art last time. didn't we?
Oh, did we?
Yeah.
Okay.
We revealed her last time, but I did want to show like some of Tart's work that she's been doing. She's been doing. Oh, show the expression sheet because she did this. I think this is new. You guys haven't seen it, or if you have, I don't care. It's amazing.
It is amazing.
Yeah. So she is like our amazing, crazy girl that we all love, and she loves explosions, and she's just like our little goblin. Yeah, they've seen this one, but it's cool. I still like it a lot.
Yeah. Alright, so
Okay, let's. She's been working on. I don't know if they've probably seen the turnaround, but let's show the turnaround real quickly. QD turnaround. To your right.
yeah,
There
right
you
here.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys might have seen this already, but this is like essential in what we have to hand off to Pat, our one character modeler, who pretty much can literally copy exactly how the model looks in the art to 3D. It's amazing. So he takes this and translates it. So she did a really good job with this. Like you could see all her cool layers that she has. Maybe you want to show the movement sheet next.
Boom.
Yeah, let's see. So this is like some of the work in progress of what we need to be able to rig her character model and hand off to animation, which is a long process, but this stuff's super important. So we have like, these are always subject to change and editing, but she's done an amazing job on this so far. Sprint, LMB, the swapping, and kind of like what she looks like when she's holding the rifle, which I love. And of course, there's a few abilities here that we don't have. Like, we don't have the mind throw, we don't have her ult, but you guys will probably see that next time.
Yep.
Yeah,
This is
there's
very much just
slight changes coming.
yeah. These
So gun transformation or gun? I think they've seen the gun.
Yeah, I think that's probably like old. I couldn't remember. Do you guys want to see? Why don't we show them the work in progress sculpt right now? So Pat hasn't gotten the sculpt to a really like finished state, but
he
this is
started
his
on
work
this
in
like
progress.
days ago, right?
Yeah, it was like 2 days ago.
So this is real early.
Yeah.
Really early.
Like with ZBrush and sculpting characters, what you do is you pretty much kind of work on it, and you know that a lot of it's going to have to be redone. Like this is the block in stage. So this is like phase 1. So she's going to look real spiffy on phase finish. Phase 3? I don't know what to call it. Phase finish.
I like that. Phase finish.
But it's looking really good because you can see she doesn't have a robot arm here. Like, you know, she's basic Kira right now.
Yeah.
So next stream, you guys will definitely see this finished, beautiful. Right, Pat? Right?
For reference, everybody,
Thumbs up.
in how new that is the first that I've seen that. So getting it real fresh this time.
Yeah, so Pat sculpts that stuff in ZBrush. And then he does low polys in Maya, if you guys are curious.
The other two things that they haven't seen?
Yeah, so
which one?
you go ahead.
No,
Susie.
it's you. You're the art director. This is your
No,
favorite.
okay.
I talked forever on that.
Okay. Let's do the emoji first. So Jake has been working on emojis that we want to release to you guys soon once we have a. And this is the first in the set of the Kira emojis, and it's really exciting. What is it? Key Rage, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah. So expect to see like a whole set of these in the near future. We're really excited to finally get this out.
It makes us so preposterously happy every time anybody is using characters' emotes in our servers. It's just great. It's just really great. Yeah. Like every time I see it, it makes me smile. Every time.
Yeah, it's hard to keep the full ears in there because they are really big and the emotes are really, really teeny. So the face is always the most important part in any character.
Yeah, like Kira's ears are slightly bigger than her head, and to fit all of that into a box is to make her face nearly invisible. So that was the design choice there.
I
Yeah.
love Meowstorm. That is so perfect about Geist.
Yes.
Geist has one emote.
Geist,
Yeah.
Geist has one emote. Speaking of Geist, okay, let's
Wait,
let's
there's
show the
Hold
one more piece.
one more
Just-
piece.
Yeah,
Show the last piece, Trin.
and this is
Boom.
just some fun stuff.
Tart just loves drawing Kira, which is everything. And she made this adorable Kira like childhood picture that just like is so cute. It's so amazing.
She's cute.
I love it. She's so cute.
This doesn't really pertain to anything, but like, it's
Our
fun
team
and
having
awesome.
fun.
Yeah, it's us having fun, and like, hey, that's the whole point, right? It's a game. It shouldn't be boring and drudgery to work on.
I just love the idea of as a child her fur is like lighter and it gets darker as she gets older and her ears are like encompassing her body. She's so freaking cute. Give me a hat with giant ears right now.
I might be able to make that. We'll talk later.
Ooh.
Nice.
All right.
Let's go into Spooky Boy, right?
Yep. So
Spooky.
in the last stream, y'all saw Fancy what was what? I don't know. Anyway. Oh yeah, I sew a little bit. I know how to make clothes. Anyway, we saw Geists. I don't know if we showed you the model yet. Anyway, we're about to show you a model. Here it is.
Boom. Oh. Well then.
Nice job. Wait, what?
I think it's
Uh-oh.
trying to play inside that instead of Windows Media Player. It's on loop right now, so we're good. So
Yep.
you guys can watch this on loop.
Look at
For a bit.
ZBrush. That's all I care about. Look at all those sub tools.
Now you guys can copy what Potato does. You can copy his setup.
So, okay, this is a fucking awesome sculpt. Pat matched detail for detail. The only thing that obviously isn't in here is that flame is not going to be there. It's going to be a VFX. So,
Yep.
but Pat doesn't have time to do everything. So, way to go, Pat. Letting us down.
So much disappointment.
He's looking at me. Sorry. This looks fucking rad, though. I love it.
Dude, I love the colors. I love purple.
Yep.
Purple looks so good on a hero.
Yeah, it looks so good, and it's gonna be amazing seeing this guy run people down.
It's
I'm
gonna
really
be scary. It's gonna be really scary.
All right, Pat also did a,
Speaking of, okay, yeah.
You go ahead. No, this is
More
yours.
Geist. There's more Geist. This is me. This is
yeah,
for me.
yeah, this is for you.
Okay. So one of the challenges of making a character with like a still mask for a face is figuring out how they emote, and for that we have this little fellow. One of Geist's abilities is to summon the spirits of his dead soldiers to fight for him. This is Mr. Spookums. That is the development name, and I am having a really hard time not calling him that. So
I mean, that's the way he gets called in our server, our private
Yeah.
server.
yeah, like everybody's been calling him Mr. Spookums since we revealed him to the patrons, and the name's kind of stuck. So
This is how Geist emotes as well.
yeah,
'Cause,
so
yeah, I know a while ago Kezi did the expression sheet that I'm sure we'll upload to the Trello for you guys to look at. And the minion does Oz expressions, so I want to see that photo shoot, just like Geist looking pissed, and then Mr. Spookums doing all the emote work.
does Geist have a lore name? Yes, but his lore is still being refined. So we're going to share it when we do the Geist update on the public Trello. Like, oh, does Mr. Spook? Ah, man. See, does he? Not yet. We don't have a name for him yet. We're working on Geist lore right now. Mr. Don J. Spookums. I like it.
Well, Mr. Spookums didn't even have initially didn't have a lore
Yeah.
name. He's just literally like a random minion guy summons. We didn't know people
like-
cared that much.
Yeah, it's always interesting seeing what people get super excited about. Yeah, because like Geist doesn't really care very much about Mr. Spookum's welfare. He actually gets a buff when Mr. Spookums dies, and
Oh jeez.
A true friend.
yeah, like he's like a skilled general, but maybe not a kind one. So, on the subject of textures, Pat has been making incredible progress all over the place, and we have one more thing in the realm of 3D art and modeling to show you.
That would be Falco, not Pat.
Oh,
Yeah, Falco.
yeah, whatever.
did the,
Oh,
It doesn't
Falco,
matter.
you did that? Fucking what a badass you are.
Oh, I do.
No,
I
I
do
need
things.
no the guy stuff with Pat.
I didn't
and the
do
stuff that we're
guys.
showing now. Well, in a second. We'll go through all the concept first.
Yeah, they're
Wait, no, not this.
not
What?
this.
No?
There's
Yeah.
what else is there?
Fan textures.
Fan?
textures.
We showed her
Oh,
them
Oh,
that
did we
last
share
time.
that? Did we share that last? Okay, never mind.
That was
Never
all
mind.
last
If
time.
you want to see fan textures, go check out the last stream. It all kind of blends together.
Sorry.
My bad.
Sorry.
I thought it was new.
Okay, so let me just preface this by saying we needed some awesome concept art of Death Gorge drawn up. And of course, we enlisted Kezi because, of course. And he's been just bringing DFG to life, like making structures that are going to be assets placed in the map, making just places in the map really come to life. And I mean, it is just an enormous modeling task ahead of me. And, you know, I wish that we had a finished map to show you guys, but we don't. They're just pieces of it. And it's probably going to get, this is also going to be V1. There's going to be a V2, and it's probably going to be way better.
Yeah, we learned a lot from version 1. We thought we wanted to go one way with it, but we ended up making a 180 and going the other way with it.
It's just all about what kind of style we want for the map. And so, you know, we've been looking at these amazing, like, look at this. This is just like props Kezi's been making to really like kind of bring this area of DFG to life. And our kind of idea with Deadfin Gorge is it's kind of this like abandoned mining town. So there's going to be hints of life, kind of the way Gigantic had, you know, hints of life in their maps too. There are always like little things there that you're like, oh, whoa, is this Granny's like house in the corner of this map for no reason? Cool, like it's we want to do the same thing, but obviously this is a lot of modeling work. And I have actually started all these props, but then the realization hit me I should probably do the rocks first. You know, the biggest part of the map. So like it's been really fun to model these little things and have Kezi's awesome work to kind of guide us. So like everything you see here, we're hoping to have in the map. The one problem we're trying not to run into is making our models too complicated, Gigantic had really high poly models. If you ever saw them, they're like very round and very full of shapes, which is kind of draws on memory a lot. So in our minds, we're like, oh, let's keep everything low poly. So our first pass of the map, super low poly. But we've kind of been exploring a little bit more as Kezi's been making these. Oh, you know, I really like these rounded shapes. Maybe we should do rounded shapes and not blocky shapes. So it's been a little bit of kind of coming to the realization of what we want to do and filling out these spaces. And DFG is going to be based on life and death. So the map is going to literally be split that way. So, you know, keeping with that kind of like, we don't want the map to be boring. We want it to be really interesting no matter what side you're on.
And also have it clear for people who aren't like super familiar with it already, where they are, which way they go to get to place X or Y, because that's really important for people who are new to a map to not feel totally lost.
Yeah, if it all looks the same, someone's gonna get lost. And having one side be the same but different visually, layout wise the same but visually different, really helps with that.
The geometry is functionally identical, but the layout and the design of them are different. That it has like strong, different visual feeling.
Yeah. So it's like incredible. And like about it being similar to Canyon, I loved Canyon. I loved everything about that map. I loved how bright it was. I love the rocks. Desert maps are pretty common in games like this. So I mean,
I love rocks too.
what is
I mean, who doesn't
what
like
is the
rocks?
thing we could do to really be like remind people of Gigantic? Make a freaking desert map.
Yeah, because like we
Like-
want this game to feel like coming home. That's how we feel about it. And so yeah, a lot of our work is going to be paying homage to Gigantic's designs, and we're putting like our own touch on them to give them different feelings. That is correct. We haven't put any cliffs in there. That doesn't mean
Yeah.
well, yes, but like that's literally all you would try to do, Turtleback. Your opinion is not all encompassing. I respect it. We'll have cliffing somewhere probably.
See, right here is a good representation of Death Side. This is one of the orb points, and it's just an old mining thing that got too much sand, too much sun. It's just falling apart, left over. And go, Falco, go on too.
Oh no, I'm just like, always blown away
Staring
by the things Kezi makes, and you know,
yeah, right here.
I just want to reiterate before anyone sees anything that what we're working on is V1. There are so many props to make, and they're all kind of modular, and it's just taken me a little longer to like kind of hit my stride. Actually, half the stuff in the map right now is stuff I made yesterday, so don't judge it too hard.
Well, not half
but
of it, but
a lot of it.
A couple pieces.
But anyway, so like there's a lot of things that we want to try to put in this. Like there's a lot of things that will be actually in the playable area of the map and things that are going to be further away. We want to really make it feel like you're down there and the living part of the city is kind of like out of your reach, because that's always fun. I love looking up and seeing, oh, is that a house up there? What is that? Stuff in maps is always really fun if it's not directly where you can access it, and it's like around the map, and it really, to me, it adds life to it. So you're gonna be seeing this map fill out with all these awesome concept pieces. Hopefully, bring bot to life.
One of the things that we're trying to build into our process really early, which you guys touched on briefly, was modular map pieces. As I've played MOBAs for years and years, I think one of the most interesting things that they do is balance the game by making small adjustments to the maps, and not like completely overhauling them, but they'll move a ramp or change the shape of a wall or put a piece of terrain that blocks line of sight where there wasn't one before. And I think that those are really powerful tools for developers to use to manage power levels without having to touch characters directly. Like if you have a map that one character is very, very specifically super strong on, but they don't have the same advantage on the other maps, how do you address that as a developer? Like, well, you can have that character just be like auto pick, auto ban on that one map and call it balanced because you've got banning, or you can like nerf the things that make that character strong there and try and buff them elsewhere, but you might risk taking away one of the core pieces of their design that makes them fun or interesting or unique. Or if you've built your built your map making tools correctly, you can, say it's a character with a ranged attack that's really strong. You can just find the spots that character is using to exploit the power of their mechanics and tweak those without changing the character at all, just by, if you've got like a piece of half cover, turn it into a piece of full cover with like a different asset that also fits in that space, because that's what you've built your assets to do. And I think that that's like a really it's a hard thing to do if you've already got an enormous amount of work put into a map that isn't built to be modular and flexible. But we are blessed with already knowing that we are exactly this kind of game from the get-go, and so we have the opportunity to build our maps with that in mind.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Oh, I can't unhear that.
I can't now. It's done.
Oh, hang on. What if the water is flowing away from the viewer, and that's an endlessly drinking water statue?
It actually is. It's flowing into his face. He's drowning right now, so I guess what Tart said is kind of correct.
You know what's funny? Something about Kezi and doing the maps is he always puts a lot of personality into every little piece. Like, I've had to actually be like, there's too many faces in this. There's too much fun going on. And it's kind of like, it sucks to say that. It's like I want to include all this stuff. Like, I want to have all these assets in there. But at some point, assets get in the way of what's really important.
Yeah.
And that's gameplay.
Oh, I think this is one of the first looks at Life Side.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is one of the first looks at Life Side. You guys are going to be pretty shocked when you see the next one.
Yeah, some plants that we're going to be putting in there. We have to add a lot of, like, foliage and sand waterfalls. Good. Yeah. A glimpse of mid and kind of, like, what the orbs could look like, which is super cool.
Yeah, we've been testing out what orbs are going to look like.
Yeah, for the record, orbs are not the like power orbs that were in Gigantic. Like, there are only so many words that you can use that are like simple and clear to say that this is the thing. But we're using orbs because it's just,
such
spheres,
an easy
whatever.
word.
The way that they work in our game in the team deathmatch mode is they give a team-wide buff to everyone like alive and nearby. So rather than like pushing you towards the end of the game, they like incentivize team fights in the areas that they spawn, because you go, and then if you don't contest them, then the enemy team gets a buff, and then they come after you with a power-up. And if you do contest them and you win the fight, then you have a power-up to go push your advantage like onto their capture point on their side of the map. So the buff gives you something to counteract the positional advantage of the defensive point, and that's the mechanic. So if anybody's worried about orbs, which is a mechanic that some people did not like in Gigantic,
yeah, this is kind of an above view of what it could look like.
Yeah.
Death Side would be over here, guys, on the left, and Life would be over on the right.
Right. And something we're going to actually have that I sometimes forget is this is still Deadfin Gorge. So there are going to be giant bones kind of like in the background, reminding you that this was once the home of some of the giant things that used to live here.
Yep.
This is version 2 of the Life Side, which kind of looks cool. See, look, talking about faces, he has a little face right there. And if you look at this, see, look, he's an unhappy bunny. That's a very unhappy bunny right there.
Oh my god.
And there's a
Kinda like
fish
an
right here. You see this giant fish out of water? It's supposed to be a thing, but it's a fish. And that, which, if you guys didn't pay attention to my background, that is what Life Side looks like. Life Orb.
And you can see R4 being all cool, shadowy.
The bunny god.
The
Yes.
bunny god, all praise him.
Praise the light. Praise the light.
But this is kind of like the look we want to go for the light side. It's kind of this oasis. There are these kind of structures that water is pouring out of. It has grass. It's got water. It's cool.
Also, Brad, it's meant to be a really fast game mode too, like a
Yeah.
like a get in, get out.
Yeah, it's like 5 to 8 minutes is the target time for that. So like a snowballing match will be over fast enough that you won't mind it, is the idea. It's mostly there to get people into the game and give them an environment to get comfortable with the mechanics without feeling like they're dragging a 20-minute game down being a noob.
This is more life work.
Yeah, this is multiple concepts for a specific space.
Replace the water with Gatorade. Boom.
Yeah, these are awesome. Like it's hard to pick them sometimes.
Look at the bones.
Oh yeah, and this is kind of like how you would be looking out on the map. That's kind of like what we want for when an orb spawns. You kind of want it to, you know, show the power above, kind of glow out.
Yeah,
And you can see all the bones in the distance, which are sexy.
we're hoping that like the bones are kind of things that are just kind of above the map. They're not really like shedding giant shadows over the map. They're kind of just the backdrops, you know. But I would love to look up and see them, and they're kind of like in that fog, that faraway fog above you. Anyway, sorry. I'm sure you'll see. There's so much art, like
Yeah, like right here would be a spawn point. We kind of wanted spawn points to be like a cave.
yeah, and that's probably where a lot of the props are gonna go. I
Boom.
love the crystal caves, so fucking cool.
I love these.
Some ideas for vegetation, because obviously we want a nice kind of spread. So there's a lot of really interesting ones in here that I love.
Well, and you guys don't want to forget that you want to visit the Dusty Gullet.
Yeah.
Also, it's a very awesome, you know, pub.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a shop that you can't reach in the map. So
Yeah.
it's where you unlock all characters and all their weapons and skins before they release. So no, I'm just kidding.
And you'll see Wolfie himself tending you beer, pouring your cup for you. Right here are some concepts on life side.
It's based on a lot of like very strange kind of plants that you would see in like the ocean, like abalone shells, like mistra
Coral.
plants. Just really, really, really interesting. The one that really kind of stood out to me is fitting with being a mirror to Death's Side is kind of like the bottom right one. That kind of, you know, it blocks the same as the other one. It's really weird and interesting, and I want to model it.
We want to model it all.
It's super cool.
Oh, I think we're back at the beginning now. Yep.
Basically, the hope is just to
Or are we?
do justice to Kezi's models at some point.
Oh, I think we had that in twice. Ah, here we go.
I mean, other
Somebody
way around.
platform.
Art, you know what I mean? Right. This is like the early concepts for kind of like summoning platforms. We got a little further than this. I don't know if I included it. I might have forgot. But it's almost the same. It's almost the same as having this kind of like tiled look where in the center is kind of where the power draws from. Can I say that?
Uh,
Draws from the. Okay, I'm just gonna shut up.
this is this is concept art for the like objective points, the control points that you put some sort of summon onto that aids your team and fights with you as a like non-controllable entity on the map. We want it to look cool and also be very clearly a something happens here point. So yeah, and these are concept arts.
Boom.
I don't
More
know
of
what more
light
to say
side.
about that.
Well, I think it's a little life and death
Yeah.
kind of mixed together because death kind of has that, and life has the lovely river.
Yeah, I could see a little bit of the buildings on the top left.
Oh, I love the buildings.
Super
Buildings
cool.
are great.
Yeah. So basically, the challenge is take this amazing concept art and 3D model the stuff in it. No big deal. Just do it.
Easy.
And also build it in such a way that it matches the functional design of the map so that the gameplay flow is not disrupted by the addition of finished models, and also make all of those models modular that they can be moved and augmented to address map balance issues down the road. No problem.
So
Yeah.
we're going on to our current stuff, which is version 1. This is what we got so far. It's constantly changing. Like every time I come home, I usually do some updates. Sometimes I'll have something new from Felco or whatnot. But we are changing things slightly. But
yeah. So this is what the map looks like in game right now.
Yes.
Yeah. So like
obviously unfinished.
Oh yeah, super unfinished. Like so okay.
Can you zoom in without the big white border?
The materials on the ground were all made in Substance Designer, and they were made to be very cartoony, very much kind of like in the style of Gigantic. And how many are there, Trin? There's like 4 or something. We also
assets?
like textures that make up the ground.
Oh yeah, we got like 6.
So everything you're seeing there pretty much made yesterday, just whatever.
Yeah, we'll see what this one.
V1!
Kind of a look at Inside Life.
Oh my god. So Trin put together and made the materials for these waterfalls, and they look
didn't make them.
incredible.
It's partial
Whatever.
mine, partial something else I've been working on.
You still put them together, and he made this awesome foam. So the waterfalls hit the water, and they have this foam effect. The water, I love the. Kezi helped us with the grass, and now there is grass that is stylized in the map.
Doesn't the grass actually move when people walk through it?
No, but it does kind of blow in the wind a little bit.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it doesn't have physics with that. It could.
Okay.
I don't know.
It could. It's.
Oh, the water's
That
animated.
kind of thing is mostly. Oh yeah, the water is animated.
It looks really nice, but yeah, these are just still shots because there wasn't enough done in the map to do a nice fly through to really do Kezi's art justice and really what we want to show you guys. So this was just the better solution to kind of just give you guys sneak peeks of the better parts that are currently in. So there's been a lot of work, a lot of me yelling at Trin, a lot of Trin dealing with flipping assets that I originally put the wrong way, all kinds of fun things.
Kezi's power level is over 9,000.
Yeah.
And we're not going to nerf Keji until after we have something. Yeah, and no, we're not going to do it. We're not going to nerf Keji. Sorry, guys.
But just imagine this stuff with Kezi's concept art as the real models. I'm hoping we can get it to that point, and it's going to really look awesome.
I mean, we are progressing. That's This is a progress stream, and this is our progress.
Yeah, look at that orange grass. Oh, it's so cool.
I know, I love the orange grass.
I really like the cactuses, personally.
Really big, fat cacti. So yeah, like all these like really blocky models are most likely going to be refined, and you know, it's been a real process, kind of like coming to terms with them, kind of like modeling around what's already there, like not changing the geometry too much to really, because you know, if you change the geometry too much of the models, then it changes the map a little bit. It changes like how it's supposed to flow. So it's been a process, and it'll still be a process.
Boom.
So I'm
Please, we
definitely
don't-
like
we
happy.
still have gray boxing in there.
Yeah. Look at all the untextured assets. Yeah.
Look at all the textured assets.
Look at that sand, though. Ooh,
Yeah, no, I love the sand. I have some really good pictures of the sand coming up anyway. So.
I love the preview image on there the most. Okay, we couldn't bake the lighting because half the models do not have UVs, which means that it would have really fucked up how this map looks. So that's why it's not baked. Sorry.
Rascals, woolly map transition like gigantic? Do you mean like how Clash changed the map? In this, no. That's all I'm gonna say about that right now.
Oh no, half the map was made with very quick assets. They were never meant to be final. So they didn't have UVs, so Trent could just kind of place them around the map.
Yeah, we're trying to get a feel for what we wanted. It's been quite the learning experience for us.
Yep, it certainly has. Yeah, no, like the map making process has definitely been a learning experience. But it's definitely like making this map has really helped us figure that out. And I think it's been fine that this has kind of been like our test map, and that's fine. Like everything after this is going to be made more efficiently, better.
Right
like
here. See, I told you I had a good one.
Yeah.
Ground textures. We got one
Yeah,
right here,
desert
one right here,
tiles.
one right here, and yeah, I think that's it.
You know, it really sucks because I modeled that entire piece with the beams and everything, but I couldn't get it done in time, so rip. I hate UVs. Don't even talk to me about UVing things. I don't know how that's
fantastic.
Oh.
And we'll find you a UV artist eventually.
Pat want to do it for me?
Yeah, Pat.
All
He's
right.
probably shaking his head right now, like leaving the room.
Oh, Pat, no, come
How
back.
much more Deadfin Gorge is there? I mean, I guess we'll just
Yeah, we can probably end it unless you have anything really super cool to show.
Oh, I think I've already restarted, or no, that one's new. Oh, that's it. Yep, that's the last one.
Cool. Nice.
Alright, I think that ends most of the stuff, right? Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm gonna double check our planning doc as soon as I remember which tab it's in.
I think questions, and I think that's it.
Yeah, so
here it is.
question time, guys.
Yeah. If you have any more questions. Oh, we do have some questions fresh for this stream. I'm going to touch on a couple of those. As soon as I remember which tab it's in. Yeah, if you guys have any questions about what you've seen. Oh, we talked on the trademark a little bit earlier. We have passed a major milestone in the trademark process, and we own a lot of our IP, which is how we were able to talk about so much of our lore. We are not revealing the game name yet, because to just say it on a stream
Put his
would
face
not
back.
do the
Spookums.
whole thing justice. So we're saving that until we can...
Fancy, your green screen kind of fell.
Oh, jeez.
I just noticed that.
Oh no!
Oh, jeez.
Streamer problems.
Yeah. You know what? Just go ahead and take my face back off the stream.
Yeah,
It's
there
fine.
you go. That's off.
Cool.
Oh.
Ho hum.
Mr. Spookums plushie. Yes. All I can
That
say is yes.
sounds awesome. I want one. If anybody wants to make one for me, hit me up. For the love, where did I? Nope. Not that.
Yes, please.
Here we go. Found it. Okay, so big question. What are the biggest problems you faced when developing the game so far? A lot, like, technical hurdles are always a thing, but I can't think of any like major technical problem that we've run into that wasn't just a matter of throwing some resources at it and figuring it out. The biggest challenge for me has been approaching this whole problem, like the puzzle that is making a game, and figuring out how to use our very limited resources, and I'm mostly talking about time here, to the greatest effect in the long term, while still keeping a flow of like engaging progress going on. Like our team has full-time jobs for the most part, which is really cool. Failco, I'm gonna
Hello.
talk about you for a moment. Just recently got a pretty sweet job in game dev, but that's all I'm gonna say. And it's been sad seeing less of you, but it's really cool that you've been able to like springboard out of this project into a real like awesome position that you are getting to apply all of your awesome badass skills for real dollars.
Oh, thanks.
And so like figuring out how to keep projects moving while we've got people with like weird and different schedules and different time zones all aligned on them is definitely the most like that's the toughest thing that I've seen so far in this one. And it's like it's way more of a like human resources challenge than a technical challenge, but like running an organization is as like figuring out how human resources work in your organization is as critical a part of a process when you have a team of 20 plus people as, you know, figuring out what the code is going to do and how you're going to write it, because it takes everybody. You know, there is no one piece of game dev that makes a game. Like games are a collection of every possible type of creative form, and like maintaining that conduit of creative energy, like pulling in the same direction and rowing at the same time to keep the ship moving is I don't know, that's been a fun challenge. And I think, and like a big part of the answer to that has been to just make sure everybody's talking and to really, for me, function as a bridge between a lot of different people so that they can all focus on their work but still have an idea of how it fits into the greater system. That was a cool question. What about you guys? What have been the biggest challenges you faced, and how have you overcome them? And feel free, team, to chime in the chat.
For me? Oh, okay.
Yeah, you don't have to answer it if you
no.
want to say dealing with Trin. That's fine.
Oh, I mean, that's really difficult. Okay, I actually know. Like, I've never really been in this position before to like kind of like direct creative energy, and it's been a learning experience for sure. To kind of like learn how best to give people feedback and how best to like make them not burn out and have fun with what they're doing and let their creative energy go. for me, that's been really hard. It's been kind of like being able to put the ego aside and be like, you're really good at this, you should do this, and like put people on tasks. Putting Kezi on DFG, great idea. It took too long to get to that point, but it's like it was part of the learning process of like dealing with a bunch of artists. So it's been that, I think, is the hardest part, and of course putting aside time. Time is it's
time management
hard.
is definitely the story of this project. On the subject of putting Keji on DFG, this is just something that I'm like one of my lofty goals as like an entrepreneur and a person who has like been involved in and run small business before. I think it's really important that the work that people do is like interesting and fulfilling, and also gives them opportunities to grow and learn. And like, we're all volunteers, and I've been really clear with everybody that like, if a paycheck is coming, it's no time soon, and I definitely can't guarantee how much it is. Like, games is a tough market, and like you've probably heard this before, people, but like, what's a good way to make $1 million in the game industry? Start with $2 million. But like, at the same time, I want to make sure that everybody on this team feels like their work is valuable and enriching them. And when Keji came to us, he came on as a character concept artist because his portfolio was full of really fantastic character work. And one of the things that he mentioned in the interview was that he wanted the opportunity. He had received a review from somebody really established in the I think it was like somebody at Riot, I can't remember, on his portfolio, and they said that he needed to like focus on developing his environment and background skills. And so that was something that he mentioned he wanted to be able to work on. And so like, we had a pipeline of character design concepts, and after he like knocked Fan out of the park, we were like, okay, do Geist. But when Geist was done, we felt like it was really important to give him the opportunity to grow his skills in the areas that he thought was important for his own work. And so we moved him over to environments, and the results have been fantastic. But a big thing for me personally in how all of this is happening is that the team not only do like the work that the game needs to get done, but also have opportunities to do the work that helps them grow in their professional or personal pursuits, because I think that's a really important and it's an important piece of the whole puzzle to make sure that the people who are working on the project are developing as professionals. Like, even if they're not getting paid, they're doing professional quality work, and they should be growing their professional portfolios and skills. Kind of just turned into a ramble, but I wanted to say that.
We're 2
'cause I think
minutes
it's really
from 2
cool.
hours.
Oh, geez, I was going for an hour today. Okay, somebody asked a question that they said was from the last stream, so I want to make sure we catch that one. Who was it? Oh, how much is there in development that you cannot tell us about for legal or personal reasons? I can't tell you. But how much is there that you can't tell us about? I can't tell you. I can't tell you. I mean, I could say lots. I could say some. Those are pretty arbitrary amounts. I could say 9. There is 9 that we can't tell you. There's still plenty more to come. I promise. Like, we showed a lot, and we showed a lot of recent stuff here, but there's still
9.
a lot more to this iceberg. All right, I'm gonna grab one more question from that I think is really interesting. Okay, this one I like. This one I like a lot. How far will follow the story of Project Stamina throughout its lifetime? For example, after the game releases, will future events be centered around advancing the story, or be completely different and non-canon? One of our efforts in world building was to make a world that could really follow a narrative and have the characters and the world around them develop with the progress of the game. And one of the things that we were going for in making, and this is a great time to have asked that question, sad alcoholic. I hope that name's facetious, and if not, then we're here for you, buddy. Yeah, so it's a great time to have asked that question, because we got to tell you so much about our game world today. I personally have a lot of plans for how the game, like how the progress of the game and how people play it and what people do in special game events will push the narrative of the world. And I would really like to see, like, I would like players to feel like the impact of the games that they're playing over and over and over and over again, and the points that they're getting on their accounts that show their rank in whatever gameplay metrics are reflected in the world in some way. And we've been doing a lot of concepting around how we can tie things like in-game quests to complete certain objectives or unlock certain, I'm going to air quotes, achievements, and play in competitive and mode, and have that tie into both like personal account progress, because that's a fun thing to see, and like your career and stats page, and also have your successes in the game and your successes in the game in like team events, if that's a thing that we can do one day, impact the game's narrative. I have plans for that. They're really like they're still vague and conceptual, and so what I'm telling you is like most of how they actually are designed. But I have plans. A lot of them tie into more of our IP stuff, which we'll be rolling out later, and I'm really excited about it. Next step is still to get a like tight functioning game out the door and get people playing it regularly. But as long as people keep playing it, then the story of Othala will continue to be. And that's my answer to that. We've got some questions about like alpha and beta dates and monetization, and the answer is too soon. We like the free-to-play model. As soon as we're ready for an alpha, we're going to announce it, and we're going to announce it very loudly so that everybody interested cannot possibly miss it. And monetization is not going to be pay to win, because that's really unethical, and it's not going to be loot boxes, because that is similarly unethical. I've been listening to some like psychology podcasts about how loot boxes exploit gambling tendencies in people, and it's really creepy, and I don't like it. So thumbs down for loot boxes. Those are like pretty brass taxy questions though, and I wanna end it on the story. So that's what I'm gonna go with. Back to the stream. What tab is it? Yeah, so Atmos's video is up. There's the link to his stream. If you want to go watch that again and just like get punched right in the feels, by all means, please do. His other content is also great. Go check that out. Until next time, thank you all so much.
Fancy, did you say something about the 6th hero?
Oh, that's right. I said that I would announce the 6th hero. So here's one thing that's really cool that's been going on is since January, the patrons have been participating in a community character design event where we have been putting gameplay, like world and gameplay concepts forward as potential design directions for people, for the patrons to vote on. And through like a roughly weekly poll, we've been maybe it was before that. I don't know. Maybe it's been longer than that, but I feel like January, so that's what I'm going to go with. We've for a while now. We have been developing as a community a new character. It is a caster, and that is all I'm going to tell you. Is we have a community designed caster that is really starting to shape up, and the patrons have been like I've been outlining the design space that we play in, so it so that the design is going to fit within the greater architecture of how Project Stamina characters are designed. But outside of the very base framework, the patrons have all been making all the decisions as a community on how that stuff gets built. And Tart called dibs on the art for it.
It was actually kind of funny. The artists actually did fight over this.
Yeah. Well, there was a brief fight, and then it turned out that like when they realized that they could fight over it, Tart had already called dibs month prior. But yeah, Tart called dibs
nice.
because there was some very specific concept that she was like, "This is awesome." Oh yeah, okay. So that's the other thing is the character is a part of the Melanarch faction, and that has some like very specific gameplay design implications. But it's been 2 hours, so we're gonna call it. We have a Melanarch caster coming down the pipe that is being made by the community. If you want to get in on that, sign up for Patreon. If you don't want to get on it, that's totally cool. Patreon is there for the people who want to help support this project to throw dollars at it. That's it. Like, we do our best to provide value. Part of it is through this process. We do regular updates on gameplay where I'll like wax philosophical about game design or give some like behind the scenes what's been happening, and then we take all that content and sort of dump it on you on the streams.
Yeah, some pretty good audio clips. I don't think we have done any video just yet.
Well, I mean, we've released a couple of like short videos of new models and stuff.
Yeah.
There's a couple of like. Anyway, yeah. If you're interested in the Patreon, that's really cool. We super appreciate it. If you don't like the platform, or if you don't have the money, or if you just don't feel like throwing money at a game that doesn't exist yet, we totally understand, and that's totally fine. But everybody here has our utmost appreciation, and so from the entire team to all of you, I put my green screen back up if you want to see my face one more time.
Oh.
Do it.
Ugh. I have to sit back down. I like standing at. Oh, jeez. Wrong thing. Boom.
Here we go. That's not me. There it is.
Yep. Yeah,
Thank you
guys are
so
awesome.
much. This is so much fun, and we really love doing this, and it would be a lot less fun streaming to an empty room. So thank you all for being here, and check us out on the Discord. We'll get our links to the public stuff up real soon. I have to go pick up my wife from work because this took longer than I thought it would, and I'm having dinner with my parents tonight. So public stuff will be up soon, and we'll make announcements about it when it is, so you don't miss it. And if you're not a part of our Discord already, how did you find out about us? Thank you. Cheers.
Thanks, guys, for being here. And we'll definitely have some stuff for you in September, right? That's the next stream.
Oh, yeah. Next stream, September.
There's no confirmed date for it yet, but it will be September, and yeah. Wink, wink. Wink.
Yeah.
Wink.
Yep.
I'm going to do finger guns until you turn the stream off.
All right, bye, guys.
Bye.